These days, it seems like multiplayer is everywhere, doesn't it? I'm not saying multiplayer isn't a blast, it totally is, but every now and then it's refreshing to dive into a sharp, steady, single-player game that wraps you up in its world or narrative, no online madness required. If you're itching for those crisp, story-driven journeys, you're in luck. Here's a list of linear titles that'll hook you from start to finish. But before I share the list with you, I'd like to request a quick favor. If you find this video worth watching, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel. Anyway, I hope you'll find it enjoyable.
Look at all those cars. Artyom was right. People were coming here from all over the country.
Metro Exodus. Unlike most linear games, Metro Exodus has a weird relationship with its open world. At first, you might expect it to throw traditional corridors aside for this huge map, right? But actually, those wide open spaces only kind of exist to lull you into thinking you've got more freedom than you really do. The trick's figuring that out early on. Sure, you've got some exploration freedom, but it's still orchestrating everything with a tight hand. That's why this game's so good at keeping tension high. It's just linear enough to keep you moving through these eerie, oppressive environments, but it throws you a bone now and again, letting you off the rails for a quick detour before guiding you back into the struggle for survival. Glimpses of freedom, followed by an immediate return to darkness, cold, and danger. The series has always been incredible at nailing atmosphere. Exodus pushes it further with those unsettling sound cues, technical brilliance in designing ruined landscapes and sudden enemy encounters. You're moving from one claustrophobic tunnel to another as you embark on this bigger journey across Russia's wastelands. It might have widened the scope, but everything keeps feeding into the same core mood of isolation, survival, and stubborn hope crushing everything. It's like taking a stalker narrative but staying linear enough to keep everything tightly contained. At number 9 is Hi-Fi Rush. The best way to describe Hi-Fi Rush is like being inside a music video where rhythm dictates every punch, every dodge, and every combo. Instead of just hearing the beat, you feel it in how you're allowed to control your character. It's a world where everything pulsates with energy. Platforms, enemies, even buildings. They all move in time with the soundtrack. But it's not a rhythm game in the usual sense. You've got this cleaner-than-clean movement, smooth action, and a story that's not trying to be all dramatic or deep. It just wants you to have fun. It's like watching your Saturday cartoons while holding a controller, and it knows exactly what it is. The fact that your combo potential skyrockets once you sink into the beat, that's where it shows its clever design. Suddenly, your attacks aren't just hurting the enemies more. They sound better, like a slice of music being composed on the spot. The animation's vibrant too, giving off this comic book meets anime vibe, which fits because the game's not taking itself too seriously. Combat's fluidity ramps up throughout, rewarding you the more in tune you are with the rhythm. It's like those moments where head bobbing turns into full-on dancing, but through fighting robots instead. Looking for something to put a smile on your face while tearing through enemies? This one hits all the right notes, figuratively and literally. Sifu. Now I think I already mentioned this game on my previous video, but gonna mention this again since it's a different topic and this game really fits here. The thing about Sifu is you're basically thrown into this process of mastery, but instead of just leveling up like in most games, you literally live and die by your skill. Every mistake, every mistimed punch ages you. Instead of just adding XP, you're getting those gray hairs and looking at that growing number, realizing there's a weight to failing. And when you succeed, it's like poetry in motion. Each move you pull off looks so smooth, you can tell these are techniques earned through literal trial by fire. That's the beauty, really. It's not just about fighting hordes of enemies in a linear set of arenas. You're learning to efficiently fight your enemies, mapping out the layout, getting the flow of combat down until everything's second nature. It's not going for realism, none of that one punch and the fight's over stuff. Instead, it focuses on making every fight feel cinematic, where each combo feels like you're part of a high-stakes martial arts showdown, and it feels earned. The progression system isn't just a gimmick either. Sure, you get older with every death, but you also get smarter. You become wiser, faster to defend, and more deliberate with attacks. And that aging mechanic, it's got layers to it. It pushes you to adapt, to take fewer risks when you're older. It's less about a power fantasy and more about mastering yourself through failed attempts. Another one is the Tomb Raider trilogy. It's hard to talk about linear gaming without mentioning Tomb Raider. The reboot trilogy doesn't mess around. It strips back the puzzle-heavy explorations of the old days and focuses more on a high-octane cinematic experience. Each game in the trilogy, Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, feels like a blockbuster movie, but it lets Lara do most of the talking. Whether it's leaping between cliffs or making her way through crumbling tombs, each step of the journey pushes you forward, rarely giving time to breathe. The first game nails her origin story, showing us a young Lara thrown into survival mode. It's gritty, intense, and she's not yet the invincible archaeologist everyone thinks she is. Rise escalates everything, taking you to Siberian landscapes and making the stakes higher. More action, more tombs, and more ruthless mercenaries. Shadow closes out the trilogy with Lara at her most hardened, but vulnerable, torn between responsibility and survival. And it's not just about combat and climbing. The environmental design pulls you into these ancient civilizations. Beautiful, detailed tombs give you small moments of quiet, but they're just reminders of the epic chases and firefights ahead. It's not an open-world game. No unnecessary distractions. You're on a thrill ride that edges just close enough to keep the tension rolling. The reboot succeeds by focusing entirely on keeping you engaged from start to finish. Devil May Cry 5. If style could be measured in metrics, then Devil May Cry 5 breaks all the charts. You're not just moving through levels into enemy mob rooms, you're carving up demons with some of the sickest moves in action gaming. There's something about that hyper-focused combo system that rewards creativity. You could choose to just slash and shoot your way past everything, but the real fun comes when you start stringing together air juggles, weapon switches, and those insane special attacks that are just a feast for the eyes. Nero, Dante, and V each bring something totally different to the table. Nero is all about raw power and close combat. Dante's got this toolkit of weapons that's just ridiculous, and V is basically playing his own game with summons and mind-controlled beasts. That variety keeps everything fresh, even when you're slicing through wave after wave, in a good way though. And the seamless way it transitions between these characters keeps everything moving like a movie with barely any breathers. Then there's that slick graphics. The visuals don't pull punches here. Detailed, grotesque enemy grunts bleed into beautifully rendered environments and smooth animation work. Even beyond the cutscenes, everything feels stylistically consistent. It's violent, sure, but it's also got you grinning because Devil May Cry 5 knows the right way to make its chaos fun. It's proof that linear hack and slashers aren't going anywhere. They're just evolving, making every moment of combat meaningful and explosive. Titanfall 2. In terms of sheer momentum, Titanfall 2 just does not slow down, and that's exactly why it deserves a spot here. No sprawling open world with waypoints scattered everywhere. No long-winded side missions. Instead, it's wall-running, double-jumping, and endlessly traversing these tight, carefully designed missions with your AI mech companion, BT. This game almost never lets you take a breath. It pulls you forward with constant variety and brilliantly paced encounters. With parkour-like movement and snappy gunplay, your path always feels like one linear thrill ride. But the genius is that it continually rethinks what that means. You're not just going from one shootout to the next. The level design is constantly shifting in ways that make Titanfall 2 feel fresh every 20 minutes or so. 1 minute you're blasting through rooms at high speed, the next you're time traveling to solve puzzles or engage in split-second combat decisions. It doesn't limit itself to one trick, and yet it's still a pure action shooter at its core. Then there's BT, the Titan, who isn't just a mech. There's a growing bond and sense of trust that makes the linear story hit harder emotionally too, unexpected in a way that doesn't feel forced. The campaign is short, sure, but everything's so concentrated, so tight, every moment matters. Each mission, no matter how intense, is another bump up the adrenaline meter, with momentum carrying you from one fight to the next without ever succumbing to filler.
Yeah, fat chance, Ramon. The girl's just fine. With me.
Resident Evil 4 Remake. It's safe to say Resident Evil 4 didn't need a remake to secure its legacy, but somehow, this remake makes it feel essential all over again. This isn't just a trip down nostalgia lane, it's a full reimagining that retains the original's incredible balance of action and horror. Leon's journey through rural Europe, fighting not zombies but infected villagers and grotesque creatures, remains tightly focused, yet the updated design here feels like it breathes new life into each set piece. What's really cool is how combat feels ramped up and refined without losing the strategic edge that Resident Evil always nails. Enemies are smarter, faster, they feel less predictable. You'll need to rethink how you manage those tight spaces, knowing that stunning one villager might inadvertently send another charging at you. The knife being a key part of survival now is one of those small changes that feels huge during gameplay. Every decision matters just a little more because fights are tougher and resources always feel just out of reach. The visuals hit a whole other level. The foggy, dilapidated landscapes create this constant tension that sticks to you, even when things slow down for exploration. And the pacing of the game feels like someone took a ruler and lined everything up with precision. There's almost no downtime. You're always moving on to the next puzzle, the next encounter. It's nearly perfect in its commitment to keep you pushing forward, laser-focused on survival in this monster-filled nightmare, with each step leading to another intense showdown. Next at number 3, we have God of War. The shift from the original God of War series to the 2018 reboot feels like it could have been jarring, but what it nails is keeping that laser-focused narrative while giving you the illusion of a broader world. Kratos and Atreus' journey through Midgard isn't an open-world adventure, it's linear with a few cleverly disguised detours. You're moving from one story point to another with tightly paced moments, but because the environments are so grand and interwoven, they feel expansive without ever truly breaking from its core progression. Combat takes familiar pieces of classic hack-and-slash God of War and refines them into a leaner, deeper system. Each fight with that Leviathan axe feels weighty, but everything is streamlined to push you forward, no getting bogged down in hordes. And the enemies, precisely placed as the game pushes you through key encounters and boss fights that range from personal battles to those larger-than-life showdowns. It feels cinematic, with every hit telling part of the story. The relationship between Kratos and Atreus is where the game truly leans into its directed path. You're not just progressing through combat and puzzles, but through their evolving dynamic, pulling you right into the father-son tension. Everything builds into those pivotal moments, whether it's a quiet father-son moment on the boat or a massive dragon-slaying spectacle. You're always moving toward that next bit of growth, and that's where it thrives. It never lets you stray too far, constantly pushing you forward, emotionally and physically through the journey. I previously mentioned the Tomb Raider trilogy, so there's no way I'm skipping the Uncharted series. If you're really vibing with the Tomb Raider reboot trilogy, then jumping into the Uncharted series is a no-brainer. Both series, on paper, are practically siblings, action-packed, globe-trotting adventures putting you in the shoes of heroes seeking hidden tombs and treasures while outrunning and outgunning dangerous forces. Where Tomb Raider leans a bit more into survival and puzzle solving, Uncharted feels like you're smack in the middle of an Indiana Jones-style action film from start to finish. A wild ride packed with relentless momentum. Nathan Drake's charm can't be ignored either. His witty, sometimes careless demeanor complements the high-energy pacing that pushes you through these massive, graphically rich environments. The game is always guiding you, but it adds in just enough climbing, fighting, and environmental storytelling to make you feel like you're doing the exploring. The linearity underneath helps the series maintain that blockbuster flow, never leaving you wondering where to go next or afraid to miss out on crucial plot points. The set pieces are wild. They elevate every game in the series. Massive crumbling structures, train cars hanging off cliffs, explosive chase scenes, and they all flow seamlessly from one pulse-pounding sequence to another. There's no downtime. The series knows exactly how to keep you moving without overwhelming you. Even in those slower, quieter moments, you're still on a clear path, ensuring you never lose sight of what's happening. It's designed to make you feel like a treasure-hunting action hero every step of the way.
How will you be able to follow the lords at hunt?
Is that your only ambition for me? To follow?
At number 1, and I think is really a must-play, is A Plague Tale: Innocence. In this game, you're walking right into a tightly woven narrative. No sprawling side quests or open-world distractions here. It's a linear, dark journey into 14th century France where two siblings, Amicia and Hugo, are on the run from some truly chilling enemies. Rats, Inquisition soldiers, and plague-ridden towns make this one eerie trek. But instead of just scaring you for the sake of it, every encounter has weight, driving home the idea that you're surviving more than you're conquering. The linear design works because it keeps the story moving relentlessly forward, just like Amicia and Hugo's flight from danger. Don't expect combat-heavy sequences, though. This one's more focused on stealth and survival. You manage your resources carefully and strategize how to use them against both human enemies and swarms of rats. The rats, controlled by the plague, turn the game into a giant balancing act. Light versus darkness. Every puzzle reinforces this central mechanic as you guide both characters through deadly areas. But beyond the survival mechanics, it's the emotional bond between Amicia and Hugo that anchors you. The story is paced like a movie, slow moments for character development, followed by high tension and moments of sheer panic. Every chapter feels like a straight line pulling you to the next emotional beat, making the stakes feel more real as the siblings grow closer but face increasingly dangerous threats. Every step forward strips away their innocence, reminding you that all this hardship can't be avoided. It's coming no matter how fast you run. And that's it, guys. I hope this video really not waste any of your time. So, if that's the case, please help me grow by subscribing to my channel. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again in my next video.